Now we're recording.
Awesome. So, hey, I'm Holly and Lindsay is over here. She'll be talking in a moment. We went to the Beachbody New Leaders Conference about, 2 weeks ago, I think, in LA. And it is a conference, it's invite only for, you had to be a 1-star diamond or above, and you're only invited one time. So Mallory went for our team last year. Ellie was there 2 years ago. Lindsay and I were both there this year. And basically, it is a small group of people with very concentrated learning from some of the kind of the people in corporate, as well as a few of the top leaders. So we had Melanie Mitro, 4-time top coach, speak. Bonnie Engel, who's been in the top 10, I think the past 3 years, and Kim Fitzpatrick, who is Canadian and was very good. I'm like, she doesn't have a title this year, so it's kind of like, she was awesome. But she was elite last year. And so there was a lot of information. There was a lot of mixing and mingling, but it was a huge goal for both Lindsay and I to get to the New Leaders Conference last year. We started planning probably, I'd say, February or March, looking ahead to qualifying for that, and really, really wanted to go because of the opportunity it presented. And I don't know if we're going to go, Lindsay, unmute yourself for a second.
Okay.
Did you want me to go through my key takeaways and then do yours, or do you want me to,
Totally.
Okay.
Go for it, girl.
Okay. So I'm just going to go through a few of the things. There was a lot of learning. The sessions were great. When you go to Summit, there's a lot of information. This was kind of information really, really focused. So everybody who was there was working their business. I think there was about 350 people there, and everybody there is really, really intentional and really, really on their way to kind of doing something. They see this as a business that's going somewhere and are working. So the sessions were really kind of geared to the type of person who's looking to grow a team, looking to grow a business, who's in this for the long haul. So we could summarize the notes on and on, but it would take a long time. If any of you have any questions afterwards and you want information, let us know. We're going to share some of the resources that we did get, some pictures of slides and stuff as well. But one of the things that I really, really liked, and I can't remember, it was one of the corporate people said that Beachbody is not just ending the trend of obesity, we are ending the trend of social isolation and loneliness. And I thought that was pretty powerful and amazing, because we do. Even though we work out at home, I shared a video tonight of like my last 38 days of 80-day obsession, and like the first one was in my basement by myself, and then the second one I was with Christina and Veronique at our diamond retreat, and I was with Lindsay at New Leaders. And so I was, I work out alone, but I work out with other people, and we're on here and we're doing this team call, and we have challenge groups, and we're not actually alone. So as much as we may be at home working out by ourselves, we may end up working out with our partners, and we end up with friends and not kind of the social isolation. And I know for a lot of my challengers, I have people who are very isolated in certain ways, and having our challenge group is huge for them. It's contact with people that they wouldn't have otherwise. So that I really, really loved. And the other thing that I loved coming from corporate with the messages is that they really, really focused on sort of less about money and less about business, and more about the kind of the purpose, the why behind the company, and the love behind the company. This isn't just a company trying to sell people something. This is a company that really does want to change the world and make it better. All of the executives, had their kind of word that they shared about. And those words were everything from Carl Deichler's was love, to all kinds of different things, but they were all really feeling words. None of them were like money and millions and nothing like that. It's really, really about people. And that means a lot. And so if you haven't gone to a Super Saturday, there's one coming up in April. Get to a Super Saturday. These are the events when you're around the other coaches that you really, really start to realize the power of this business outside of yourself. So if you haven't been to one, make sure you go. If you're not registered for Summit, go. Like when you have that many people around, if you have any question, like, is this business legit? Do they really mean this? You go to these events and you go, wow, like, yes, like it really is about changing people's lives, not just about making a buck. So one of the things, there was a book recommended, and I'll write it in the comments after I show you a picture because I bought it, by, what the heck is his name? Why did I just, Jeff Hill, the president of global sales, Good to Great by Jim Collins. And he talked a little bit about the book, and it talks about sort of different types of leaders and what makes different companies from good to great. So that was one sort of piece of PD. Whenever he mentions PD, I tend to write it down and go get them because he's got some really good ones. So out of the speakers that we had, I just had a few key points that each of them kind of brought to the table. Bonnie, my favorite line from Bonnie, who, when I first saw Bonnie, I was like, there's no way this chick is relatable. She's like 100 pounds, teeny, blonde, and like 20 years old. We have nothing in common. I don't think she's 20. She's probably like 25. But I have no idea how old she is, but she's a lot younger than me. And not at all relatable when I look at her. But I've since heard her do a national wake-up call. She's doing the national wake-up call tomorrow. So make sure you listen. She's going to have a ton of points about Instagram that you're going to want to hear. So we're not recapping a ton of her stuff because you'll hear it tomorrow. But what she said was, I had to stop doing what the people before me did and start evolving. And that I loved, because as much as this kind of business is about duplicating, we also have to start growing and learning. The things that worked 3 years ago didn't work 2 years ago, and the stuff that worked 2 years ago isn't working now. So we have to keep growing and evolving. Social media is an evolving business. We need to be on top of it and look at that. Melanie Mitro did some stuff on time, and here I'm just going to show you my calendar, because this was another thing that I heard at one of our Super Saturdays, and they were, Jatana was like, I'm going to share all my secrets, but only like 1% of you is actually going to do anything with them. So it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. The people who were at the New Leaders Conference, we all came home and did something. So Melanie Mitro shared about her scheduling. And I don't know if you can see it, but I literally came home and was like, oh, I'm going to start doing that. So I got my calendar, and I haven't done it as extensively as hers, but I started kind of breaking down my time, because she was talking about time management and did a session on time management. And what she said was, you don't have a lack of time, you have a lack of organization and direction. And the points that we were given, nobody was cutting any, nobody was kind of patting us on the head and saying, you know, you're so sweet and you do so well. They're like, no, you have plenty of time, you just don't have organization and direction. And when I looked at how much time I was spending actually doing activities that generate income, that generate new conversations with people, I wasn't spending that much time in a day. I felt like I was, because I was on my phone a lot. But I just wasn't, right? Like, I wasn't actually having conversations with people. I would go to kind of I would get interrupted all the time. So that was huge. Both of them also talked about constantly evaluating your progress. Like, how is what you're doing working? If it's not working, then you need to kind of look at doing something different. A huge shift happened last year in social media, and both Melanie and Bonnie talked about how they've shifted over to Instagram, how it was very uncomfortable for them, and how they did it anyway. So that was a kind of big thing. I'm sure Lindsay will probably talk a little bit more about that, so I'm not going to go into it too much. And then Kim, I'm going to steal one of the lines that both Lindsay and I really liked. It was probably our favorite line from Kim, which was, turn your mess into your message. Very simple, very easy, but literally turn your mess, whatever, and the mess is your life, into your message. Be real, relatable, and resourceful. Bonnie and Kim have both kind of summarized their lives in ways that they can speak in a kind of couple minutes and tell you about, you know, something, and you're like bawling your eyes out at the end. So, and not because they're super special, like they both have pretty crazy stories, but they brought those from what they have. Each of us has a story of the same impact. It's just, can you tell it and make somebody cry? That's, you know, that's huge. So with Kim, and I'm going to type them in the comments because I actually found them really helpful. She was talking about, you know, branding, the same normal things that we all know. You have to have 5 kind of things that you stick to. Stuff like consistent filters. Don't have like 15 different filters. Have a couple that you use, but not like 15. And then look at the moments in time that shaped you. And when you're making a post, talk about them. And I like the way she started them off, because I was like, oh, I can use those and sort of tell my story in a little better way. So she made points like, I remember when, ... There was a time when, before coaching, things like that. And lead up and start your story that way, and then relate it to where you are today. The other thing I'm just going to talk briefly on, and again, with social media changing, and that one of the things Melanie said was that she went back through all of her team training and really kind of evaluated that and looked at the resources and made sure that anything that was kind of in there that was no longer relevant, she kind of took out and she changed it up. And our team is in the process of revamping some of our training. And doing that and kind of going through, because the social media has changed and some of the things that we were doing has changed. So we're in the process of doing that. It'll be up soon. Note to any diamonds who haven't finished your thing for Coach University, get it done. Lindsay and I are done. So's Ellie. Just saying. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to say was the coaching opportunity. It's I've never struggled with talking about Shakeology. I've never struggled with talking about my fitness. I have always struggled with talking about the coaching opportunity. And Bonnie basically said, stop being so scared about talking about your business. And I don't know if I'm the only one. I don't think I am, but most of us don't talk about coaching. And I know I struggled when I was working, because I was like, well, how do I talk about coaching as a business when I'm working, right? Like, it's easier now because I've quit and there was things like new leaders that I could talk about, but how do I talk about it in that way? But there are ways, right? There's tons of different ways. Like the things, again, it's, you know, you're no social isolation. We're here on a Sunday night. A lot of us have kids. We're here and we may not be, you know, out of the bar having drinks, but we're chatting to a bunch of girlfriends and we're spending a little bit of time doing something for ourselves as moms, as wives, as, you know, whatever we're doing. So don't be afraid to talk about the business. And especially if you're in Instagram stories, you can talk about it. You can talk about your challenge group. You can talk about if you're going to a Super Saturday. You can talk about those of you who are going to the Success Club trip. We're going to the Success Club trip. Or if you got an invite to next year's Success Club trip, talk about that. If you're scheduling for a challenge group, you can just take a quick picture or a little video and be like, oh, I'm doing this for my challenge group. So you can really weave that in, and especially in Instagram stories, but don't be afraid to talk about the business. Income generation in this business, growing a team is huge. The incomes, like they shared a ton of different incomes, and there's always the disclaimer of it's based on, you know, a whole bunch of different things. But the incomes they shared, the people who were growing their teams were generating incomes that you just can't generate through sales. But at the same point, in order to do that, you have to be hitting Success Clubs consistently. And it's sort of, is it tough? Yes, absolutely it's tough. And some months are tougher than others. But the reality is if you dig in and you have it as a non-negotiable, it becomes a non-negotiable. I started in this business 2 years ago. This is my 24th month, and I haven't missed Success Club. I've come close. But I literally, like at 10 o'clock at night on the last night, would be like beating down doors, doing whatever I had to do because I'd made it a non-negotiable. And if you get those 3 people, and again, it's not points, they're people. We can help people. That's what we do. But if we're helping a minimum of 3 people a month, that's going to bring people into your business and it's going to grow. And then those are the ones you're going to be talking about the coaching opportunity to and bringing to Super Saturdays and showing them how much fun this is and how awesome it is. And so Lindsay's going to kind of take over from here. And then I think we'll talk after she's gone over her key points about how we felt. Is that what we're doing? Okay. So I'm going to hush now, and Lindsay's going to tell you a little bit more of the awesome.
Well, you took it all, so I'm just going to end this call right here. I'm just kidding. No, so actually, the That was awesome, Holly. It brought back so many like emotions and just I like to learn, and it was the ultimate learning experience. So um, some of the cool stuff that we started out with actually was that um, Kim Carver, he's with corporate, and he does a lot of really great training. And they had sent out these surveys last year, and you might have done one of them. They targeted a certain subsector of coaches. So anybody that was making, I think, between like $1,000 and $50,000 a year coaching got these questionnaires. And I remember doing one and filling it out, like honestly. And they took those results and they shared them with us. And what they figured out from that was, because obviously the people that are making $1 million have been doing it for a while and are probably, their organization is larger and there's different things going on. But how about those people that are earning an income that could replace an income? How are they doing that, and what kinds of things are they doing? So they talked about these few things, and this is in Carl's group. I don't want to say the word. Is it like 135 or 531? One of those, in one of those orders. And he has this group, and all you need to 135, Susie, or 531. I see numbers. 531. Okay. If you're not in there, all you need is a summit ticket to be in there. So I highly recommend being a part of that group, because he actually shows his speech that he did that day, and it really breaks it down. But these are some of the things that these consistently successful coaches were doing. So they were all still doing the 4 vital behaviors. If you don't know what those are, look them up, because we've talked about them lots of times. But like, they're the same 4 things you're going to hear people from beginner coaches talking about and training and stuff, to the people that have been doing this a long time and are still really successful about. They're doing the same 4 things all the time, just to different degrees, okay? These people are authentic and they connect with other people. So they share small pieces of their day. These people also track their followers, their friends, and grow that number daily. So when I started with my Facebook account 3 years ago, I had a joint account with my husband. Some of the diamonds will remember that. And we had like 170-ish friends, and half of them were his. And we're losers, because I didn't like Facebook, and I didn't like social media and that kind of thing. But I didn't have a big network, okay? So that was something that I went to, actually, Allie, I had some success with my warm market the first couple of months, which usually happens with coaching. And then after that, it was kind of like, okay, so now what do I do? Like, where do I go from here? And she's like, you need to be adding more people to your network. So that's when I started to expand that. And obviously I've grown that immensely. But you need to be growing that constantly, and you need to be keeping track of those people that you are adding. I know Holly and I both kind of had that, like, yeah, we're not doing a great job at keeping track of people, and a lot of people are falling through the cracks, but have reached out to us or messaged us, because it's different than when you first start and you have maybe like 3 messages in a month, and they're people that you remember, and you're like, oh, I need to talk to that person again, or, you know, she could use this help. When you start talking to more and more people, it's more easy to forget who you've talked to, okay? So these people also know their target market. They know who they're talking to, and they talk to them in their posts. So I know, again, when I first started coaching, I just wanted to help everybody. And I didn't care if you were a guy or a girl, or like 25 or 55, or, you know, it didn't matter to me. I just wanted to help everybody. So I'd like put these big posts out there, and they'd be like, I can help everybody. And then I learned that, you know what, of course I can still help whoever, but there's a certain person that's going to look at my story and look at what I've done and look at my body type and look at what I'm trying to accomplish and be like, you know what, I get it. Like, I relate to her. I wouldn't mind finding out what she's doing. I wouldn't mind working with her. When I started to make my posts directed to those people, it helped. Again, though, always constantly fine-tuning that. You're who you are and what you're about and where you are in your life is always changing. And they reminded us that that's what successful people are doing. The other thing that these successful coaches were doing is 4 to 5 major social media themes. So instead of talking about like 500 random different things all of the time, they had about 4 or 5 things that they focused on. Usually one of those things is fitness, but fitness is not the only thing they talked about. They talked about other things, and they made these like connections with people based off of sometimes these other things, and then it brought them into their world kind of for fitness. Obviously, like Holly said, there's been a huge shift in which social media platform these coaches are having success with, and it seems to be, it doesn't seem to be, it is, focused on Instagram, and Instagram stories is huge right now. Like Holly said, Bonnie is going to do a national wake-up call tomorrow. Jen Richardson has done one. If you have not listened to it, you can check it in your Coach Online office, or you can listen to the podcast on the Team Beachbody podcast from a couple of weeks ago. The other thing is that these people were doing a call to action. So they were adding people, they were talking to the right people, and then on top of that, they were making sure that they let people know what the heck they're doing, because it's easy to just kind of blog your journey and be like, oh man, like I did this workout and it was so hard and I'm really proud of myself, and people are like, good for you. Like, why are you posting this? Like, are you just cheering yourself on, or like you're just documenting this journey? But if we don't remember to do that, hey, guess what? This thing I'm doing, you could do it with me. Do you want to do it with me? These people were doing specific calls to action all the time. Now, and then connecting with them further offline. So not just like they comment on a post when, say, you put your transformation up there and they say, wow, great job. You know, you take it to Messenger, or you take it to email, or you take it to DM and Instagram. Their contact, you're connecting on a more private level, and somewhere where you can actually have a conversation and ask them questions about what their goals are and what struggles they have, and actually getting to know them. These people rarely use corporate material. In fact, they don't use corporate material in any of their social media posts. That's something that, you know, if they wanted to show a video of, say, 21 Day Fix, once they were talking in private messenger, then they would send maybe the Beachbody link to that from their coach office for people to see. But they're not posting like, you know, the Kissing Shakeology cup, or like the, here I am doing my 80-day obsession with my 80-day obsession mat, and I'm drinking Energize, and it's so delicious, because people will just go online and they'll just buy them off Amazon or whatever. These people also were launching at least one challenge group a month. Okay, and I know that we've all been there. I can think back to actually still have months where I don't bring a ton of people in, and I'm like, man, like, is it worth it to run a challenge group? But I think, I don't have very many people in my challenge group. These people are running challenge groups no matter what, whether they have one other person or even no other people. They're joining a challenge group. They're making sure that they're constantly engaged, and they're still being a challenger in a way. And whoever they bring into the business, they're giving this opportunity of the challenge group, because the challenge group, as pretty much anybody who's on here knows, is where the magic happens. That is the magical thing that we have as coaches in our arsenal. They can get fitness programs anywhere. They can get supplements anywhere. They can't get you and this experience anywhere. This is unique to us, okay? So, and then the last thing I'll just touch on is just they were doing private invites. So not just putting up posts once a week or once a month and hoping that 10 challengers were going to come to them. They were messaging people. They're messaging lots and lots of people. And, you know, you don't have to have cold messages where you're sending it to strangers and being like, want to join my challenge group? No, they're having conversations with people. And from those conversations, they're getting into, hey, what is it you do? Hey, you know what? Or they talk to you about something, this need that they have, and you say, you know what, you'd probably really love a challenge group. Or maybe we can talk about this more. I know it's kind of scary, and I know it's not something that we like to do, but like Holly said, if you're just doing that busy work all the time, so for me, it was like creating challenge group posts, scheduling posts, posting in all of my challenge groups all the time, listening to some training here and there. Like, I was being busy for like 5 or 6 hours a day in weird pockets all over the day. But was I doing the focused work that actually builds my business? No. And I had to really like do that big gulp and say, okay, if I want this to work and I want to be successful at it, I need to do that more focused work. And if that means I only have to work for 2 hours a day, but I have to do the right things, then that's awesome because I can do that. I just need to get into that frame of mind. So the only other thing I was going to talk a little bit about, I really enjoyed Kim Fitzpatrick's presentations. Kim was actually at New Leaders as a coach last year, and that's kind of why they brought her back, because she had success, a lot of success from that year going forward, and her husband have built quite a big following themselves. And she talked a lot about challenge groups and challengers, and I love challenge groups. I started as a challenger myself, and she just really, again, another gut check that I wasn't running my challenge groups as effectively or as passionately as I could be. And no, that didn't mean that I need to put 100 hours a week into my challenge group. It just meant that I needed to be making sure that I was giving these people that were trusting me with their time and their vulnerability, the best of me that I could. So she said something like, she said, meet people where they're at and make sure you're giving them 5-star excellence in customer care and customer experience. And I was like, yeah, yes. Like, maybe it's not about like liking every food post they put in the thing. Maybe it's not about, making sure that they're checking in with their Shakeology every day. Maybe it's about making sure you're messaging them once a week and making sure that, you're talking to them and just being like, hey, how are you? Right? So that really, really touched me. The other thing, I can't remember if you said this, Holly, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating it, but when Bonnie talked about being a micro influencer, I really, really liked that. Both of us did. We talked about that a lot. And she had to make that switch from Facebook, which was her comfort zone, into a more Instagram-driven business. And she said that was scary. Same with Melanie, said the same thing, that it was scary for her to make that change and have to learn all this new stuff and do all this new training and put out this new training for her coaches. But Bonnie talked about this whole micro influencer thing. And she said how it used to be is like you'd have these big brands and they'd run these commercials and they'd show, they'd promote their stuff, right? Now, the way we've got it, because of social media and because it's so interactive and so many people are dialed into it, things like Instagram stories are really like little pockets and peepholes, I don't want to say peepholes, but into people's lives. And so what happens is, people start to trust you, and you start to share about things, not just Beachbody and not just fitness, but like, hey, you know what? I love David's tea, and I found that it's helping my sugar cravings at night, and this is a flavor that I like. You start to become trusted, and you're relatable, and you're authentic, and now these companies are actually benefiting hugely from all these micro influencers. So people that have like maybe 10,000 followers on Instagram are influencing a product much more than, say, like a commercial, because nobody watches commercials anymore. They DVR everything. And she just talked about being that micro influencer. Even though your network and your community feels small, it's not. And if you can be that trusted, authentic person that people are, and she did some great stuff, and I'm sure Holly will talk about this again later too, but she just showed us some of her posts, and agree. I told her when we saw the lineup of the speakers, I was like, ugh, Bonnie. But when I heard Bonnie talk, I was like, no, Bonnie's good. I can see why Bonnie's been top 10 for the past 3 years, because Bonnie gets it. Bonnie is acting goofy out in a parking lot with one of those wiggly like air things. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I found my it was so funny. And just sharing like about her pregnancy, and that's where she's at in her life right now. So she was talking about that, and she'll probably talk about that in her National Wake Up Call tomorrow. So I definitely, like Ollie said, tune into that. I heard this too, and you'll probably remember this, Holly, but they said, when you're sharing about yourself or your story or whatever, personal equals universal. The more specific and personal, and don't go airing your dirty laundry all over the internet, but when you can say, you know what, I was on an airplane home from LA, and the turbulence, I thought I was going to die. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to die for sure. And I hate flying. And I talked about that a little bit in like, I think on Facebook and a little bit in my Instagram stories. So many people can relate to that. And so many people were like, you're okay, like breathe, it's fine. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. I tell my kids I love them kind of thing. But that's how I felt like, and I didn't want to share that. And it's scary for me because it just made it more real. But when you do those kinds of things and you share you like authentically about yourself, Kim also said you're healing and helping. So you're healing yourself. You're talking about these things that maybe are a little bit scarier for you and are a little bit raw. But you're healing yourself, and you're probably helping somebody else who feels the exact same way but is too scared to say it. And that really translates in our fitness journeys. And she said, lean into that, from turning in from a victim into a warrior, which I highlighted. The other thing, this last thing I want to add, and this is something that I kind of did sporadically before, but it is very effective. And I was like, I definitely need to do that again, is the whole being relatable thing. If something makes your life easier, share it. Share it. Share your struggles, share your discoveries, add value, and you will be valued, is what they said. And I was like, that's so true. And again, it doesn't mean you have to spew how Beachbody is valuable to you all over everybody. But guess what? It is too. So you can share these other things that are making your life easier. The Instant Pot thing, I know we had like, if our team had to make commission off Instant Pot, we'd all be like millionaires because we sold a lot of Instant Pots. But yeah, if something is making your life easier as a mom, or making your life easier as a working woman who's trying to get in shape, share it. Share it. Okay. So I think that's all I had highlighted. I'm a little bit in a daze today, so let's, are you unmuted, Holly, or do you want to unmute yourself? Oh, you know what? I totally forgot slideshow. Maybe I'll do that right now.
We can do it in a sec. Or yeah,
Okay.
do it. I'm just going to quickly, I just wanted with the micro-influencer thing, I totally forgot about that sharing. But what I really loved about that was Bonnie was like, everything I'm wearing, I bought from like somebody on Instagram story or something. And I was like, it's true. The car seats that my kids are in, I bought because of an online birth group that I'm in. Yeah. And Allie probably sold them to me actually, or somebody else in there. But like all of the things that I've bought since I was on Facebook and on Instagram have been because people on Facebook or Instagram recommended them to me. So it's true. It's not, there's nothing on, no advertisement that can sell me something. It's the people that I know who are sharing something.
Yes.
Okay, so let's do this slideshow.
That's what I wanted to say, but it sounded much better the way you just said it. I don't know. It's not popping up here.
I can see it.
Is it like open, full?
No, I can just see the one like screen.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I can get it in a different spot. I'm just going into my files. New leader. Like, what did I call it?
New leader conference recap.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Oh, my neck is so sore. It's coming, guys. Trust me, it's not like worth not talking over. We can chat while we're waiting for it to come up.
You need to close that screen.
It's coming up. Oh, there we go. Can you see that?
No.
It's not filling.
You had to shut the original one first and then share screen again.
Oh. Share. Oh, okay.
So when it comes to kind of things that you build up in your head and you go, was this everything I was hoping it would be? I can absolutely say that after working towards it for 10 or 12 months, after wanting it since I literally saw Ellie take a picture in front of the Shakeology wall before I was a coach, the New Leaders Conference lived up to my expectations and blew them away. So for any of you who are working towards Diamond, who are working towards Star Diamond, it is worth it. It will change how you feel about the business. And that's what I love about this. My first summit did that for me. It really made it real. This made it feel more real. I know that Lindsay and I were sitting in the room, and some of the new leaders are elite, right? Some of the new leaders are 5-star elite or 2-star premier. Some of them are making a whole heck of a lot more money than we are already, right? But you realize that the distance between, you know, our 1-star businesses and someone who is kind of skyrocketed to success, it's very, very small. There's small differences in the things we're doing, and we are so close. And the reality is it's the same thing for anyone sitting on this call. If you're a coach, Emerald is not that far away. It's 2 people, 1 on each leg. Once you're Emerald, it's starting to duplicate that. And Diamond is within reach. I remember when I first hit Diamond, and I think I dropped rank the next week. You know, and it was really hard to hold my Diamond rank until I did. And then suddenly, you know, a few months after I hit Diamond, I was a solid Diamond, and it's just stayed there, and it didn't become hard anymore. Once we achieved that, it was like I was watching the Olympics and I was watching them do jumps. And it was like, once people realize what they're capable of doing or what other people are capable of doing, it becomes much easier for everybody to do it. And that's what happens at Summit. You go, oh, I'm not that far away from it. But when we go to conferences like this, or even if we look at our rankings, in the elite rankings, it's like we're so close. So, you know, none of us are nearly as far away from that kind of, that super success that we think we are. Why not me? Right? Like, we all need to say, why not me? None of these people are special. Like Melanie, her superpower is that she's organized and she's driven. Bonnie, sure, she's cute and little, but there's lots of cute and little blonde girls in the world, right? There's tons of them. I gave birth to one. You know, like there's so many of them. But Bonnie is driven, and she's smart and she works hard. Kim, like, again, same pretty blonde lady. Like, yes, she's attractive, but is that why she's successful? No, again, she works hard. And the whole 5-star, she's like, if we expect to be a 5-star team or an elite team, we need to be giving that level of service. So kind of, it's not about throwing up 3 posts a day and then walking away. Like, that's not running a business. It's about so much more than that. But yeah, the conference was incredible. So Lindsay's gonna.
I don't know if my slideshow is going to work, but you did make me think too how as soon as I saw Ellie in front of that Shakeout wall, I wanted to be there too. But I was like, that's probably not going to happen for a long time. And I didn't, and even when Holly and I made it like a goal at the beginning of last year, it wasn't one of those things where I was like, I know I'm going to do this year. It was like one of those things where we were like, we conjured it up. We were like, we are going to make this happen. And then like the stars aligned and everything, we did a lot of hard work to get there too, but like everything just fell into place. And we're like,
and honestly, guys, if you don't have a vision board, make one. And they did talk about vision boards there too. But I literally, because one of the other things, like I've had a whole bunch of things on my vision board kind of come into play. New Leaders was one of them. And they actually changed the qualifications last year. Otherwise, Lindsay and I wouldn't have been going last year. It was 2-star and they switched it in the middle of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But same with my vision board. So one of the things that I wanted was to pay off my mortgage in 5 years. And I recently quit my job, and then I got a letter in the mail last week, like with my pension. I'm like, okay, they're going to tell me it's locked in. And then they're like, oh, we can give you like this lump sum locked in, and then we can buy you out for this lump sum, which was a fairly substantial amount. And I'm like, wow, maybe I can pay off my mortgage in 5 years. So do a vision board, start looking at it. It manifests stuff. Where's
I'm
your
going to see
slideshow?
if I can get this to work. Let me know if it works.
So cute. Yeah,
Can you see that?
Okay. It's this. Yeah. Go to the next slide. Can you do like full screen?
That's what I'm trying to do, and the button's not. Oh, is that working?
No. Can you double click it?
Yeah, they're all working for me, but they're not working for.
Just go to the next slide. So, okay, we can always just put them up.
We totally will. They're just like a few recaps. We tried to do a lot of like live updates while we were there. So this is really just a repeat just pictures that are repeated.
And it was really nice. Like it was nice to get a picture with the CEO. It was nice to interject myself in a conversation with Autumn and Carl, have an exclusive workout with Autumn. We each had our own rooms, and we split a room for the night, like because we were there a night early. It was like $400 for the night. It was an expensive room. I had like a corner suite, so you get a swag bag. You're made to feel really special. The food was incredible and it was healthy. Touring headquarters was awesome. When I was there, Jericho's husband was leading the lunchtime workout, and it was like, "Hey guys, did you miss the workout?" And I'm like, "Oh hey." So it really was all that and then some. You're talking to the guys who work at corporate and girls, and we went because we're geeks, so we were sitting in the front row and right up so that you could see everything. And again, it's really being a part of something special and taking things to the next level. So it's very doable. It may seem kind of so far out of the stratosphere now, but honestly, it's not. I mean, I'm 2 years into the business. Lindsay, you're what, like 2.5?
3. 3 in April.
You weren't really working the first 6 months, so 2.5 maybe. It takes time, it takes effort, but if you really want it, it's totally doable for everybody.
And both of us were working full time when we were really building the foundations of our business. So if you're at that point where you're like, yeah, but Holly and Lindsay don't have jobs now. Of course they can do that stuff. We were in the hustle. Like Holly was working shifts, high-fiving her husband in and out, and same with me. I was working right around Christopher's schedule, 40, 50 hours a week. And we just took and that's almost where you're more effective because you just have pockets of time. So you only take the pockets of time.
I was working right up. That sounds so weird.
Where'd you go?
I just hear, can you hear like my boo-boo-doo-doo?
No, you sound fine.
Yeah, no, I was working right up until the beginning of January. So like everything qualifying for this, I was working. I'd actually picked the New Leader Conference as my first vacation pick for 2018 before I'd even decided to leave my job. So it's very doable working full time. Being a part-time coach is very powerful. It's very effective. And very doable. Lindsay and I both work busy careers with 2 kids, and both of us have partners who are shift workers, so we're alone with our kids a lot, and done this. So
yes. And one more thing I was going to add, I did have a resource page in that slideshow that didn't show up, but just that we wanted to make sure that you do check out the National Wake Up Call for the 10th time. We've told you this tomorrow of Bonnie Engel, but also that you check out Melanie Mitro's podcast, Women Inspiring Women. She goes into depth in her time management stuff, and also like work and family balance and those kinds of things. And she has just a phenomenal, they're really short. They're like 15, 20 minutes, but they're really, really, really good. And they specifically apply to most of us women working in network marketing. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Was there something else from that too?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're good. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions, if you have kind of detailed sort of stuff, actually, if you do, unmute yourself and you can ask them, or you can send us a message. But if anyone has a question now, by all means.
That was amazing. That was really good. I really liked you guys posting so much from it itself, which was really, 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 really great.
Good.
Like, it was a fabulous. I think that and leadership are the two. Although they've started to do more now, right? Now there is a leader summit block where you lose one of the tracks if you're a certain rank, and you go into the leader presentation, and the keynote speaker does a different thing for just that, like ranking up. I think I remember being on the pier making a video in our team page 3 years ago going, you guys, I can't wait to see who's going to be here next. And in the back of my head thinking like, is anyone ever going to be here? Is it just always going to be me? Like, why is nobody doing anything? Because we were like brand new. Holly wasn't even a coach yet, like brand new team. And then just watching Mallory grow through it was like deja vu. But then seeing you together, I was like, oh man, like I'm always alone everywhere. Like it would have been so nice to like.
It was so nice.
It was really.
Especially
Yeah,
sharing that room.
no,
Yeah,
no,
that
so
was
good,
good.
so good. It was, yeah, it's a leadership is weird because you're always alone for like a while, right? Because that's like a big one. But there's a lot of you that are alone that have met in the round table, so it's a bit better there. But I found the new leader conference like,
It
And I
wouldn't,
loved it. I mean, I found everybody was super, and I mean, I'm the type of person who talks to
same vibrant
everybody.
level. Like everybody's
yes,
on the same frequency. There is no summit is a bit more like some people are
everybody's
Well,
all
some
over.
is so busy, but new leaders, it was
Yeah.
really, really nice to talk to. Like everybody I sat down next to, like it was talking and their business and
They're
you know,
all
where
business
they're at.
builders.
Are you guys finding that just the way things have changed? Like, I mean, obviously, I have a bird's eye view of change that's a little deeper because I know what was happening before I became a coach, when I was a coach, and when I actually started working as a coach, which is a big gap too. But we can talk changes forever because there's been a million. But at the end of the day, the thing hasn't changed whatsoever. Like at the end of the day, we can't be infomercial channels that do nothing but promote our challenge groups and do nothing but talk about our fitness and do nothing but share our fitness videos. It's boring to people. They want to see you keep doing it, but it's kind of boring to them.
Well, and that's why it's having those 5 things, right?
Right.
Because it can't
But
be one
it's
thing
so easy to
over
just
and
do
over
the
again.
2 things. One, talk about SHIT that you like outside of Beachbody so that you have connections with those people. You must have that other passion project, and it's difficult at the beginning because at the beginning, Beachbody is your passion project.
True.
But then you can talk about that. I never even knew I could be into fitness, and now I'm into fitness. That's really weird. So, at the end of the day, all we're doing is we are just really solidifying a reputation. I'm not going anywhere. This is hard, but I'm not leaving. And if I'm not leaving, I won't let you leave. And this is my thing. So when this becomes a pain point for you know to trust me because this is my thing and I'm not leaving. And I think that sometimes it's almost scary to say that. I'm not going anywhere. So if you know your brand and you know your pain points, you can turn that into a, and all we're doing is really promoting what we do, regardless of how they do it.
That's what I like about corporate, going to headquarters and looking at everything, because like Beachbody's not going anywhere, right? And social media is always going to change. Like that's the nature of what it is. But yeah, our like, you know, our fundamental behaviors, the things that we do day in and day out, those don't change. It has been, I want to say that coming back from this and really evaluating, and Lindsay and I went back to our rooms and we talked a lot about the things that we were doing, and we were very, very honest. And I mean, take an honest inventory of what you're doing with your business and how much, because we've done fairly well. And at the end of the day, I would come back and I'm like, ah, shit, Lindsay, you know, like I've started scrolling Facebook for 2 hours at the end of the day and feeling like I was working, because it feels like now that you're doing work when you're on Facebook because that's where your business is, but scrolling isn't work, right? And it was like, so I came back and I signed up, there's this tracking system, My Connection Builder, that's from one of the trainings I've been using. And I've actually been tracking how much time I'm doing and actually spending a couple of concentrated hours working. And that's a change coming back and all the time. And I'm noticing on the days when I don't. So that's, you know, and again, it's putting these things into action. So if you go to a Super Saturday, or you listen to a National Wake Up Call, or you listen to one of our calls, or you talk to your upline coach, if it's Ellie, me, Mallory, Lindsay, Stephanie, whoever, then go do something. Like, you got to do it. It would do nothing if we'd gone to this conference and came back and didn't do anything with the information. But we both came back and we were both determined we were going to use the information that we could and kind of put it into action. And yeah, like Ellie said, with all the changes in social media, there's going to be changes, but we have to do the fundamental behaviors and evaluating and looking, where am I doing them? Where am I not? Right?
Good point.
Okay, give me good people to follow on Instagram that don't make me crazy. I cannot follow Jatana. Every time I'm like, Jatana deals in the same thing I deal in. 30 plus, sells sex and energy, which is what I do. You see my posts
She's
for
like little blonde you.
She's a
So if you see
cheerleader.
my post from like 15 minutes ago, I
It's a
sell.
little blonde Ellie. She drives Ellie crazy.
But I
Do
can't
you
go.
time out for a second? I'm going to stop the recording, okay? Thank you for everybody joining us. I'm going to stop the recording.